Miles City in the background there. So we have not seen that old boy for a while. So, okay, is there any public comment on items not on the agenda today? I will just add that if you have not seen it, our passenger rail efforts were featured in the German publication Zeit Online over the weekend. So check that out. Apparently folks in Germany are interested in passenger rail in southern Montana.
Did you also have a South American one as well? Just
no,
Portugal.
Portugal.
Okay. I thought there was something in Argentina. Okay.
Well, maybe those who speak Portuguese in South America also read that publication. So any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay, we have 3 whole items on the agenda today. The first one is a request to approve appointment of a special attorney in the matter of State of Montana v. Corey Jenkins Roads. Who from, there's Brian West.
Good morning, commissioners. I'll stand in for Matt for this request. Before you use a resolution to appoint the Attorney General's office to prosecute the matter of Montana versus Corey Jenkins Roads. As the resolution lays out, this is actually a matter that their office has investigated and initiated, and they'll be the ones to carry it through.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I move that the board approve appointment of special attorney in the matter of State of Montana versus Corey Jenkins Roads.
Second that. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, commissioners.
Chris, next we have an independent contractor agreement with Northbound Public Affairs.
Yes, so commissioners, this is our last year before we'll need to go back out for RFP for our services for lobbying. So this contract extends this through the next fiscal year for our services with Rebecca. It does expand the scope slightly to include a trial period of lobbying at the federal level through our contract with her. And so that this is that 1-year extension. It allows us to add or drop federal lobbying as needed. So we're not locked in for an entire year related to that. And then, as I mentioned, at the end of this contract year, we will go back out for RFP for those services.
So, Chris, how does this work in that the key piece or a key piece of the DC lobbying would be via Western Sky Strategies?
Yeah. So thanks, Dave, for the reminder. For a little bit of history here, when Rebecca originally responded to this RFP, it was in partnership with Jess's company. So they are actually a partnership. So Rebecca has her own firm, Jess has their own firm, but they actually contract with Missoula together under Rebecca's umbrella for that partnership. And so this is really just extending Rebecca's contract and adding that piece to that particular part. For it, but that partnership continues with them. That is a service that they offered at the time, but just that we didn't have a need for at the time in that partnership. So, Dave, I think you might have been here when Rebecca and Jess came and did their original presentation, but of course, Josh and Juanita were not here. So my apologies for not including that little bit of history there in that.
No, thank you for that.
No, I think this will be great, and thankfully the reach of the legislature does not extend to Washington, D.C. quite yet as it pertains to lobbying. So,
for which we are grateful.
I move that the board approve and sign an independent contractor agreement with Northbound Public Affairs for state and federal legislative services.
I will second that. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Rebecca does a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be critical. There's a lot at stake in Washington these days.
There is, and the work over the interim this year because of 632's interim committees that will be overseeing all the federal ARPA money will be important as well. So busy interim as well as a busy year at the legislature. Sorry, I have the second item or the next item as well. So as you know, you appointed members to the Impact Fee Advisory Committee. They had their first meeting last week, and that meeting was primarily for them to review their bylaws, make any recommended changes, and then for me to bring that as well as their election of a president and a chair and vice chair for that committee before they have their first meeting with our consultant next week, who will be here. And so they'll be doing a hybrid meeting of both in-person and virtual options available for it. So they made some minor modifications to the bylaws. Those modifications primarily focused around both the creation of the chair and vice chair position, in that the original bylaws template that was used the last time Missoula County explored impact fee advisory changes did not specify that the chair and vice chair would take office immediately upon a vacancy. So the way it was worded, they would have had to wait till their July meeting to actually elect a chair, because it said every July a chair will be elected. And of course, it's not July yet. So that didn't really work. So we made some slight modifications there. We also added a space for the ex officio member, Josh, which was part of your resolution, but is now incorporated into the bylaws as well for that. And then they also asked for a slight modification to make sure that hybrid meetings were allowable, which wasn't in the previous, which called for all in-person meetings. And so this provides the option for in-person, virtual, or hybrid meetings, depending on where we are in the pandemic. So if you approve these bylaws, then these will become the official bylaws. We'll get them formatted for your signature, and then signature of the chair of the committee.
Great, thank you. Lori Heyer, or who is the crafter?
Actually, in this case, Kyla did some modifications to the original, and then I made the modifications working through the group at their first meeting, as you were in your Thursday public meeting when that was happening. And now they're here before you. But as always, a great team effort from your incredible team of administrative folks who support you. So,
yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So I move that the board approve and adopt bylaws for the Impact Fee Advisory Committee. I just to get it started.
I'll second that. Further discussion on the bylaws? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So ends our action items today. Correspondence. We have a whole bunch of various veto messages. I cannot remember a session where we've so vigorously requested so many vetoes. So Chris, do you want to explain which each of these bills are?
You bet, and I might ask Sarah and Emmy and Allison, who've been incredibly influential in getting these formatted and crafted correctly. So we have 3 for you today, and I agree, Dave, I cannot remember a session where we have had this many veto requests, probably for the whole session, let alone on one action or one agenda. So House Bill 464 is the local option fuel tax bill that we're asking the governor to veto. I think that one we've talked about a fair amount, so I won't spend too much time on that. But this, of course, was the repeal that we would like the governor to veto. It's been very successful in Missoula County, and there are lots of projects tied to it, and it would be devastating to those projects to lose that revenue source. Senate Bill 199 is the Montana Food Choice Act. So this is the bill that would remove health regulations from any home prepared food. So right now you can prepare certain prepackaged food at home and then sell at places like the farmer's market. This would remove those safeguards around when you need a commercial kitchen and when you don't. This is also incorporates the sale of raw milk in this bill. And so there's a request for a veto around that. And then the last one is Senate Bill 108. This one we're asking for a veto because House Bill 121 passed. And House Bill 121, as you'll recall, was the updates to the health bill that allows for county commissioners or elected officials oversight related to health regulations. And so you took some action related to adopting the health code at your last administrative meeting. This actually adds a citizen referendum component, which means any order or regulation passed by the health board would be open to a citizen petition to repeal or amend it. We're not really sure how the amendatory process would work, since normally on a petition there's not like language modification for existing rules or ordinances. But the repeal piece is highly problematic, as it requires us to conduct an election within 30 days of 5% of the electorate's signature being gathered. So that's roughly 5,000 folks' signature. We would have to conduct an election within 30 days of those signatures being gathered. couple of challenges around that. One is just putting together ballots, getting them properly coded, stuffed out to people and back inside that 30-day time frame. But even more so than that, there's no time frame on when they have to collect signatures. So once they have a petition and they're gathering signatures, it can take them any amount of time. Normally during that petition, so if you want to put something on a state ballot or a local ballot, you normally have a window to gather those signatures in and turn them in. This gives them an unlimited window. So, I mean, to draw an exaggerated conclusion, it could literally take them 2 years to gather signatures. And then after that 2 years, when they get 5,000 signatures, we'd have to conduct an election for a regulation that might have been in place for 2 years. This bill was put forward as a way to curb some of the concerns around COVID, but this does not limit it to emergency actions. This applies to pretty much any action taken by local health authority. And so we are asking the governor to veto that bill.
About 257.
So that one will be coming up. These were I'm sorry, that one is on this one. I just didn't scroll down far enough. So House Bill 257, I'm going to have to look up just because I can't remember which particularly bad bill this one is, but I have a feeling it's the takings bill. Yes, so this is the takings bill. Oh, no, I'm sorry, this is not. Sorry, yes, this is not the takings bill. This is another one of the health department bills. I'm sorry. This is the bill that would make it so you could not place any capacity restrictions or in any way interfere with private businesses through a local health order. So, for example, if we were to have a sewage backup in an imaginary restaurant, let's call it ABC restaurant, they have a sewage backup. Normally, our health department would go there and would order a closure while they remediate that problem. This would not allow the health department to do this. They would be able to go there and tell them that they need to remediate the problem, but they could not actually close the business to protect public health. So they would still be entitled to continue to run their restaurant while having sewage in their kitchen.
Okay, that sounds delicious. So E-Bar-L Ranch Kitchen, go for it. No.
Ugh.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thanks, Chris. So those will all be coming via well, I guess it's no longer DocuSign. It's whatever the updated.
What are we called now?
I'm still calling it DocuSign, but I believe its formal name, Jerem's on here. I think is it ReadySign now?
ReadySign.
ReadySign, I think now.
Okay.
Instead of DocuSign.
Any questions from anyone on those veto letters?
No, thank you, Sarah and Emmy, and the Combs. Yeah.
Thanks for staying on top of all this stuff. It is the gift that keeps on giving to the bitter end. Okay, moving right along, we have a discussion item to begin with. It's IMAX jail software. Who is leading us through this?
Oh,
and you're muted.
Muted.
I'll start. How's that?
Sure.
Better? All right,
Yeah.
I'll start again. So I'm the Office Administrator for the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. I will be relying heavily on Jerem during this meeting and Keena for their expertise. I'm just more of getting this going. So the IMAX program is a program that the jail used to use. It stores historical data. But our civil office actually currently uses it, and it's very outdated. It's very slow. And I did send some materials out yesterday regarding this, our original contract. So we just need to talk. I've been working with Brian West about our current contract, which doesn't end till October of 2022, but I'd like to get out of that contract because the software company, Intelitech, which provides us services, is not upholding their end. And I think it's very important for our civil office to get an updated program which works, which does not crash frequently. And I just want to begin that discussion. So I'm really not sure where to go from here, but I would like maybe Brian or Jerem to jump in and maybe take it from there if they could, please.
I can jump in, Nadine, and what I can advise you, commissioners, is I took a look at the contract that we have with Intelitech. Obviously, it's for support and for provision of responding to Missoula County's requests. Jerem will better detail where those failures have lied, but what is available to the county is if Intelitech has committed a material breach, and I think what Jerem will relate to you does tend to suggest that they are in breach of their contract. The county can give them 30 days to fix the problem. If they don't fix the problem within 30 days, we can end the contract early. So that's kind of the framework for what we're working on the contractual matter, and I'll let Jerem discuss what has transpired from their end.
Jerem?
Hello. So I detailed this in an email that I believe Nadine forwarded on, but it's just basically been a complete lack of responsiveness from their support division. I contacted both our direct support rep that I've worked with in the past, as well as someone that was our account rep. I don't know if he still is because I've had no response. And this has been, I think, 4 or 5 months now. And we've had previous issues with their support. Prior to this, it took about 6 months to complete a migration, a simple migration to a new server, and get their services to fix the issues that came up with that migration. So historically, they've been not good at support, and then at this point they're just appeared to have no interest in continuing to support their product.
Jerem or Brian or Nadine, so if in order to extract ourselves from the contract, we need to give them the chance to fix whatever it is that we've had problems with. Do we think it's even fixable? What you're describing sounds like it's not a good relationship, and maybe not something we'd want to continue into the future. So what is that
start?
What was that, Juanita?
When do the 30 days start? I mean,
in order for us to end the contract early, we've got to give them notice that they have broken their promise, their agreement with us, and give them 30 days to try and fix it. What they would respond with to fix it, I don't know, and I don't know if it would be sufficient for our needs. But if we have any intent of walking away from this contract, we need to at least give them written notice and kind of detail what our problems have been. And I believe that Jerem's done a good job of laying out a pretty deficient level of service. And then within 30 days time, if we have no response, if they have failed to fix the problems, then we will state that the contract is terminated and we will discontinue payment. And
do we have a mechanism by which we can get any of is any of our data in jeopardy of being lost when we terminate the contract? Are we able to migrate it somewhere else, or has that already been done in some capacity? Jerem?
We host this system locally, so we have control over all that data, and that's in our. That's in it.
That's good to know.
So it can be maintained for archival purposes. We could write reports against that database or whatever is needed for data archiving purposes.
Dave Wall has his hand up.
Dave Wall.
Yeah, thank you. So from what I'm hearing, once we start this 30-day process, we are not necessarily expecting it to be fixed, most likely. I wonder if, I mean, we're going to have to go somewhere from there as far as choosing a new system or a new vendor or something like that. I wonder if we ought to actually get started in the process fairly soon of getting an RFP up and going or limited solicitation. I don't really know the costs involved, but I was wondering if maybe at some point I could just have a meeting with Brian and Nadine and Jerem and kind of start that going, and because I'd hate to be without these services and have nothing lined up.
And yeah, if I can interrupt to state, so what is remaining on the contract is the balance of this year coupled with next year's cost, which is, I believe, $13,543 would be the cost for the 2022 year. And Dave, I do believe that there are some alternatives that were considered previously that would be considerations for replacement. Of course, as you suggest, that would have to go through our procurement process, but Nadine, the goal here today is just kind of put everybody on the same page for what the problems are and what the possible remedies are.
Yeah, it's just something as simple as it doesn't accept PDF. So every time they have a 12-page PDF document, they actually have to copy each page. And it takes 3.5 minutes to upload one document. And that's just one of the issues. And Jerem knows more about all those details. He's the one who's always in the thick of it. And we really appreciate that. And it's certainly time to move on. So thank you.
Yeah.
Your list of
3.5 minutes.
the list of pros and cons was kind of it increased in intensity as you scrolled down.
Yeah, that a 3.5 minute upload might have been acceptable in 1985, but we are beyond that. So I guess my worry would be that, and I think this is exactly the course y'all ought to pursue, but and maybe this speaks to David Wall's comments in terms of just positioning ourselves to hit the go button when we're ready here, because my worry would be that there would be we give them 30 days to respond, and then we get into this protracted back and forth where they claim that they have fixed something, and then we have to, I don't know, start the process again of contesting their alleged fix. But maybe I'm creating a scenario that wouldn't exist. Brian?
My thoughts are, from where we're sitting, is Nadine, Jerem, Dave, and I should get together and talk about what the contingency plan is if the contract does terminate, and then prepare collectively a proposed notice of breach to bring before you for an admin meeting here in the very near future, and we'll discuss what the, I guess, contingencies can be, depending on what the response is in that 30-day window.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Sorry you've had to endure such a hassle with a vendor like this, but thanks for all your work, Jerem, and documenting the problems, and we'll figure out a path forward.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments from anyone on this topic? Okay. Yeah, thanks for the update. Appreciate that. Chris, anything more to share on the legislature?
So just a quick update so that we have it on the record here for you. As you know, there is an amendment proposed by Representative, can't remember if it's Representative Hertz or Senator Hertz. I apologize for probably having the title wrong there, to House Bill 632, which is the ARPA spending bill, which would limit lobbying, as we were talking about earlier. And there's been a request by MACO to have county commissioners attend, if possible, that session tomorrow when it's in free conference committee. Free conference committees are an interesting animal in the fact that they are public meetings, so the public is invited to attend, but they typically do not take public comment. So MACO is kind of looking for commissioners to be there in the hallways and try to talk to representatives and senators as they go into that free conference committee piece. And it just so happened to be that Josh will be over in Helena, and so Josh is going to attend and speak on our behalf against that proposed amendment from, again, I apologize, either Representative or Senator Hertz, and Ann or Allison or Sarah or any of the other wonderful legislative folks can help me remember which one he is now.
Yeah, so. Yet another piece of outrageous proposed legislation and a long litany of outrageousness this session, which would basically result in us needing to go over there ourselves and lobby before the legislature, which is hardly a great use of funds or time.
Well, and the probably the worst piece about this legislation is not only that, but it impacts every association that currently provides them testimony on what their bills will do, from the County Attorneys Association to the sheriffs and peace officers to county commissioners to, you know, literally every association that is somehow tied to local government. Who are the folks who carry out the will of the that's enacted by the legislature? So seems like missing that input would be a bit of a challenge. for them.
Yeah, and it is Senator Hertz from Polson.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have one other quick thing for you, commissioners, just to put on your radar. If you get a call, we are selling a piece of property up in the Hillview area. You may recall it's one of the properties that Dory has spoken to you about that the county took in tax deed almost 40 years ago now. One of the neighbors, Dave Paoli, has been very concerned about that property, which he abuts. Dory has been talking to him, but if you get any phone calls, Dory will have more information on you for you next week once that process for folks to submit bids has been completed, and then you'll make a decision whether it's something you want to sell or not. But he's very concerned due to the steep grade on it, whether it's a buildable lot or not. And of course, when we sell these, we encourage people who are potentially going to bid on this to go and talk to the city to make sure that they've done their due diligence. But the way state law is written doesn't allow us at our first attempt to sell that in a way where a real estate agent or others can advise them during that. It's this bid process that we have to use. We have to go through first. So
perhaps Mr. Paoli would like to submit a bid.
It is possible that he will. My understanding is there were several folks who were doing their due diligence and had conversations with the city. So it sounds like there will be bids on that. I don't know who from. Of course, we won't know that until they're opened after they close on Friday. So, but just in case you get a phone call about that, Dory has been working with him. John Hart has also reached out to him as well to kind of explain to him the process and all of that. But he's very concerned due to the steep grade there, which is understandable. But again, we're limited in what we can do at each stage of this process based on state law. So.
And it also seems like this would be more of a complaint, perhaps a potential complaint against the city of Missoula and what is allowable once it exchanges hands and someone proposes to build something.
Yeah, I think his concern is that folks won't do their due diligence, will buy it thinking it's buildable, and in essence, then find out that it's not. And we've reminded him, as we are with everybody who contacts us about it, that they really need to do that due diligence piece with the city before they contemplate putting in a bid. So, because we can't guarantee that it is or is not buildable in this process where we have to sell by bid. If it doesn't sell, then we get to do some other things, but we are constrained in this first piece. So, but again, Dory will have more information at your Tuesday admin next week after bids have closed on Friday. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Chris?
That is all I have, unless there are other questions I might take a stab at answering. And I will try to remember that it is Senator Hertz currently.
Allison, were you wanting to get in earlier? I thought someone else was. Maybe not.
I just
Anything?
thought it was Representative Hertz, but I was wrong.
Okay.
I think he was Representative Hertz in a previous session. I think that's my problem, is that I just can't track that he's moved to the Senate side. So.
And his son was
That's
Representative Hertz. So
His son was Representative Hertz as well.
Correct. He served 4 terms in the House, and this is his first term in the Senate.
all
Just in
right.
case you're wondering.
Oh, that's great. Great trivia to know there, Ann. So thank you. Legislative trivia. Okay. How about COVID? Anything to report there?
I don't have any updates. Allison, did you have anything on the kind of public information side? I think folks have done an amazing job, and we continue to have incredible numbers on the vaccine front. So as far as that, and of course, I think commissioners, you were aware that MCPS launched their initiative to encourage the vaccination of currently eligible high school students. So.
Yeah, I had to miss our PIO update this morning for another meeting, but I believe we're at about 45% of the eligible population fully vaxxed, which is great. 75% is the estimate for herd immunity, and I believe we're over 100,000 total doses administered now, and that of course includes first and second doses. Making great progress.
Yep. Thanks, Allison. Appreciate that. Okay, anything else that we need to discuss before we adjourn this morning? All right. Well, had it not been for jail software, we would have set a record getting out of this meeting early, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. So thanks everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Do you have a link to the German article? Dave, do you have a link to the German article?
Yes, I will send it to you, and I'll remember to put it in the chat for the next one of these things.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I can read German, so that'd be great.
Oh, excellent. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.